Alright, hi everybody, welcome back to Hot Cakes and Hot Takes. I'm AJ, and alongside me always is Boley.
Yeah, AJ, welcome. It's good to have you. We've been here for a while. It sounded like you got the blue screen of death again.
It happens. Happens.
It happens every week. It's fine.
And Zinky.
Hi, and I have to mention that even though it's not going to make this episode, Bully and I did try to just go on without you. So we were making fun of you for your blue screen. It's pretty great. The lost files of the Hot Cakes and Hot Takes podcast.
Yep, it's gone. Deleted. But
Someday we'll open up the vault and we'll find those gems.
well, let's get down to business. We're here to talk about Super Wildcard Weekend, not just Wildcard Weekend. There's 6 games on the docket for this weekend of football, which I thought was pretty nice. I enjoyed it quite a bit. What did you guys feel about the 6 games that we were given?
Well, I'll tell you that third game a day, that really makes a difference. Usually you can kind of schedule your day. If you got some stuff to get done, you can kind of work it in like, all right, I'll have a few hours here that I can sneak that in. But nope, not this weekend. A steady 10 hours in a row of football on Saturday and Sunday. Gotta love it. I'm not disappointed.
Not at all. The only thing that I don't really understand is why we had to throw the word super in front of it, just because it's 6 games as opposed to 4. It doesn't have to be a super wild card weekend. It's just full of wild card weekend. I laugh every time everybody calls it the super wild card weekend, but I get it. I just also think it's not necessary.
So, question is, are we going to continue to call it Super Wildcard Weekend next year, now that the new is worn off? Because it's just going to become a regular thing. So, is it really super anymore?
Maybe. I think they will. But I mean, you pose a great question. The only reason it's super is because we didn't do this before. But now this is the new norm, which I think it's supposed to be. Is it super every time? I don't know.
Things that make it go,
It's the NFL. It's always Super Bully. They're gonna find a way to make it super.
Super Bully.
Super Bully. Whoa! Look what we just stumbled upon. But we'll break down each game.
Well, that's all we've got for today's episode. We'll catch you guys next week.
Some more groundbreaking finds from us.
But yeah, we can go on with that first game. We'll just, point out some highlights, I guess, from each game's big takeaways, and we'll start with the Saturday afternoon game. The Bills were up in a tough one against the Indianapolis Colts. They ended up pulling it away with the victory, 27-24. Boys, we all picked the Bills, so we're all 1-0 to start. We're off to a fast start. But how'd you guys feel about this game? What was your big takeaway?
I feel like this kind of went how I thought. It was going to be a close game no matter what. The Colts, obviously, a very powerful 7 seed. They very easily could have been their team's or their division's representative, but got the wild card, just snuck in. But Josh Allen has just been unreal. He's been playing lights out, and that's exactly what I was thinking was going to happen. So, Bills are on to the next one.
Yeah, I was pretty worried for the Bills in the fourth quarter here. You could just kind of see it starting to unravel on them. I'm like, they are not gonna pull an ultimate Bills move and screw this up, are they? But their defense stepped up on that last drive, and the Colts really couldn't move the football at all. But I think the biggest takeaway for me was that the Bills were able to kind of shut down the running game for the Colts. I mean, Phillip Rivers played pretty well, threw for over 300 yards, but Jonathan Taylor, I mean, he wasn't really his self that he has been in the last few weeks, and I expected him to kind of take advantage of that Bills defense, but they stepped up big. If they can continue to play like that moving forward, the way that Josh Allen is playing, doing damage with his legs and his arms, they're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, that's for sure. It was a fun game. Great one to start off with, obviously, and the Colts came up just short. Bully, your guy that you're represented right now, Rodrigo, missed a big kick that could have actually ended up tying this game. I think he missed one early, but it's the big difference there. If he makes that kick, it could be 27-27 or in overtime. It's a whole new ballgame, but yeah, here we are. Buffalo moves on. But we can move on to the next game where the Rams, I guess, this was an upset the Seattle Seahawks. Jared Goff actually did play in this game, surprisingly. That's a real confusing. I don't know if one of you wants to break down what happened there. But the Rams won 30-20. And boys, I want to say, I was the only one to pick the Rams on this one. So I'm up 2-0. Just feeling really good. After taking last in the regular season, the postseason, I come in hot.
I like how he's talking about this like it's happening right now. And he just finished, so now he's up 2-0.
No, I'm up 2-0.
not like
I was up 2-0.
Well, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Bully.
I was just saying, I got to tell you, I don't understand it whatsoever. If Jared Goff, well, yeah, I don't understand that AJ actually got a pick, right? That's true. But
yeah, I mean, I was confused by that. Yeah.
If Jared Goff was capable of playing in this football game, why on earth did he not start? That's what I don't understand. It makes no sense to me. You know, Wolford gets hurt, and I'm like, oh, God, who's their third-string quarterback? And then I see Jared Goff warming up on the sidelines, and I do a double take. I'm like, wait, that's 16. That's Goff, right? What is going on? If he was capable of playing, how could you not start him?
Yeah, especially considering, like, when you look at that, there had to be 100% the game plan for the Rams was if they get down by a lot, Goff was coming in the second half. Like, why would he be ready to go and warming up if he was hurt, if they weren't going to be like, all right, we need a boost, we're going to throw him in. Just put him in. He's your number one. You drafted him first overall. Put him in. If he can play, he can play. And he played, and they won, which I think, you know, we may have touched on that. If Goff was playing, we might have thought differently on how the outcome of the game was going to happen. Yeah, I mean, we didn't pick him, so AJ, you're up 2-0 right now. So, but I do think that the Seahawks, going forward, I think they actually just fired Brian Schottenheimer. I don't think he's going to be their coordinator anymore. But they're going to have to focus on running the football more and not making Russ try to win the game for him every time.
I won?
Yeah, and not that it may have even mattered if Goff played at all in this game because they just ran the shit out of the ball. I mean, Cam Akers had a phenomenal game. Goff only threw for 150 yards. He only had 9 completions in this one. They really won it with their defense. And if you look at the stats, this is the number 1 defense in the league right now, and they showed it. Russ only threw for 174 yards in this game. That's a huge win for the Rams.
I wonder if McVay thought that they had a better chance of winning with Wolford, and that's why he went with them. Because, I mean, if you saw some of the first throws that Goff threw, they were pretty bad. They were off target, so I just wonder if the thumb was bothering him a little too much that's why they went ahead with Wolford instead of Goff. I guess I don't know, but I was trying to think. But there has to be some reason.
It's kind of odd to me that, I mean, so he's basically saying, if that's the case, that John Wolford is better than half of Jared Goff, but half of Jared Goff is better than whoever the third-string quarterback is.
Yeah, right? I don't know. I'm just trying to help Sean McVay out because I don't understand the reasoning either, but...
I mean, hey, can't question it. They won the football game pretty convincingly, too.
Mm-hmm.
So that was also a fun game to watch. And we move on to the last one on Saturday night. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers outlasted the Washington football team 31-23. Antonio Brown had a pretty big game, but boys, what was your takeaway with this one?
I think in this one, it was, again, almost, kind of like we were saying, the Buccaneers spread the ball out very well. I mean, Antonio Brown, had quite a few catches. He had a touchdown. Chris Godwin had a touchdown. You just have so many weapons on their side of the ball that even if you get to one of them or you shut down one of their guys, and again, even Mike Evans was still, 6 catches, 119 yards. Even Cameron Braid had 80 yards. Gronk didn't even have a catch. He had 1 target, and they still were able to just kind of move the ball down the field. And that's going to pose a big threat to all teams that they're going to be, facing going forward here because, their defense obviously could have played a little bit better against Taylor Heineke, but, he had a good game in his own right. But, yeah, if they can get that, and obviously they even had Leonard Fournette on 93 yards with a touchdown. So if their offense clicks like this, they can definitely be a tough out.
Yeah, and they don't even need Gronk the receiver right now with the weapons that they have. They just need to let him be Gronk the blocking machine, which he absolutely was in this game. But the story from this one, even though they lost, has got to be Taylor Heineke. The dude came in and shocked, I think, just about everybody by keeping them in this football game. And yeah, it's disappointing that Alex Smith couldn't go. You would have liked to see him get a playoff appearance after everything he's gone through, the way he's battled back this season. So that was pretty disappointing to me. But yeah, the Bucs are looking pretty scary. Their defense stepped up big. Washington couldn't run the football at all. Taylor Heineke also led them in rushing in this one. Antonio Gibson never got going. So that Bucs defense too, don't sleep on them.
Yeah. All right. Oh, and I guess we can mention you two picked the Bucs. I picked the football team. So yeah, we're all 2-1 at the end of Saturday. So
there you go.
Caught up. All right, but then we moved on to the fourth game, Sunday afternoon game. Ravens and Lamar Jackson finding their groove, and they take down the Tennessee Titans 20-13. What was your big takeaway from this one?
I just think our analysis was spot on, boys, because this, I think, was another case that we kind of called it. I certainly thought that the Ravens were just going to absolutely, plug the holes for Derrick Henry. They were going to do everything in their power not to let him beat them. And that's exactly what they did. Probably a little bit better than I may have thought. I figured he still would get to around the 100-yard mark. But, they absolutely stuffed him. He only had 40 yards on 18 carries. And then when you force Tannehill to make the plays without his, patented play action success that he's had all year, a little bit tougher. And, not saying he played horribly or anything, but, it just wasn't what they wanted to do on offense. As for the Ravens, their defense stepped up big. Lamar had a great day running, but I do think that the issue for the Ravens and Lamar is the ability to consistently throw the football well. Lamar's first big pass of the day was absolutely atrocious. Just never had a chance. He had wide open field to his right of his receiver, and he threw it to the left side of the receiver. The receiver couldn't even get back in time because his momentum was carrying him so far the other way that just an easy pick for the Titans. So Lamar's definitely going to have to step up in the passing game if he is going to get his team further into this year's playoffs.
Yeah, and we talk about how Lamar struggled to throw the football, but he actually threw for more yards than Ryan Tannehill did. Even with Derrick Henry being completely shut down, you would have figured Tannehill would have been the focal point stepping up in this game, but he wasn't at all. Lamar ran for almost as many yards as Tannehill had as well, so I think that just kind of speaks volumes of the domination that the Ravens defense had in this game.
Yeah, bummer. I picked Derrick Henry in the fantasy league, and he only got me like 5 points. That one hurt. But I thought he would have ran a little better. But we can move on to probably the most boring game of the weekend. The New Orleans Saints took down the Chicago Bears on Nickelodeon. That was probably the most exciting part about the game, is the slime zone. But the Saints, the Saints went ahead and won this game 21-9. What was your big takeaway from this one, if any?
The biggest takeaway, I think, is the fact that Mitch Trubisky won the inaugural MVP, the Nickelodeon Valuable Player, in a losing effort. So, absolute gutty performance from Mitch. But in all seriousness, again, kind of like we thought, the Bears offense just isn't good enough to compete. They limped into the playoffs, almost didn't make it, probably shouldn't have. But the Saints, defense is good, offense is solid. As long as, and this week it's going to be even better because, Michael Thomas just came back from his injury. Alvin Kamara came back from COVID. So they got another week to get a little bit healthier and actually be able to practice together because Alvin Kamara and I think everybody was doing a lot of Skype business to watch the game plan for this week. But going to be a tough one for the Saints next week.
Yeah, this Bears offense is just so hard to watch. It is just gut-wrenching to watch this team try to play football. And I think the moment in this game that you just knew the game was over is when they ran that trick play and the ball just goes right through his hand. The best throw that I've ever seen Mr. Trubisky make. Just absolute dime, 50 yards down the field and in the end zone. And it just goes right through the guy's hands. It could have taken the lead on that play. And you're thinking, I don't know. They get a lead. They start playing some good defense. You never know. Maybe they're able to run the ball, chew that clock away. But as soon as that play happened, I'm like, yep, they're done. Stick a fork in them.
Honestly, this guy on the Saints is C.J. Gardner-Johnson. That guy must be one of the best trash talkers in the game. I mean, he got Jordan Williams throw a punch at him like week 9 or whatever, week 8 when they played. Got him ejected. He got Anthony Miller ejected from getting a punch thrown at him in this game, and I think he was even the one that Michael Thomas punched in practice. I had him sidelined for a couple weeks.
Sure is.
This guy is an elite trash talker. Move over, Jalen Ramsey, and watch out, Antonio Brown. I have a feeling he's got a couple tricks up his sleeve for next week, but we can move on to the last game.
That could get ugly.
Yep, real quick. But for those keeping score, we all picked the Ravens and the Saints, so we're all 5-1 going into the last game, and that was the shocker, the Cleveland Browns.
5-1 going into the last game.
Oh, 6-4-1 going into the last.
Yeah, that's good math.
6.
I didn't know Kiwi was on here.
6-1. No, but so the last game, the Cleveland Browns took down the Pittsburgh Steelers. Cleveland's first win, a playoff win in a long time, and they won 48-37. So what's your big takeaway from this one?
Good win for the Browns. They played great. They certainly deserve to win this. By no means do I think they shouldn't have, but they were definitely aided by absolutely a poor performance from Ben in the offense. Obviously, the first offensive snap of the game results in a Browns touchdown because of a high snap. And then I think the next drive Ben threw a pick. And then the drive after that, I think he threw another pick off the hands of one of his receivers. So right off the bat, they're up 21-0. And I mean, if you look at it the rest of the way, the Steelers basically, they outscored them 37-27. So, again, they still deserve to win, but they're going to need a much better performance on their defensive side of the ball if they're going to have any chance of beating the Chiefs next week.
My biggest takeaway is, how do you snap the ball over a guy who's like 6'6"? How do you snap that over his head? And you're one of the best centers in the league for the past 10 years. I just don't understand how that happens. But yeah, it was just ugly from the start. And this is kind of a perfect example why fantasy numbers don't necessarily mean that you're a great player or had a great performance, because Ben Roethlisberger threw for 500 yards in this football game. If you have him in fantasy, I mean, obviously the 4 interceptions are going to hurt you, but he's putting up big numbers for you. He had 4 touchdowns too. And if you watch this game, at no point would you ever say, wow, Ben's having a good game. He had a shit game. He had one of the worst first halves that I've ever seen in my life.
And shocker, James Conner had 37 yards rushing, led the team. It's been their struggle all year, but hey, props to the Browns. They move on. And I just wanted to say, I picked the Browns in this one while you two picked the Steelers. So if my math adds up, I finished the Super Wild Card 5-1, and you two are 4-2. Sitting on top, boys. Let's go.
Congrats, you finally won a week after 18 weeks.
Let's
well done.
go. After 17, sir. This is the 18th.
I mean, it took you the 18th.
But, all right, we can break down the matchups now between the upcoming the playoff games. Let me get the schedule up to make sure. I think the Packers have the first Saturday game, so we can go ahead and break that one down. And we'll just, instead of going down each specific one, we'll just say the Packers running game versus the Rams rushing defense, who are we going to give the advantage to, and just do those 4 matchups and then move forward from there. That works. So we'll start with the Packers offense going up against the Rams defense. Obviously, Packers O-line without David Bakhtiari, but going with that running game, their offensive line's been pretty stout all year. They get 4.8 yards per carry, which is 7th in the NFL, but the Rams' front seven's really good, and they only allow 3.8 yards per carry. But going into this game, Aaron Donald might be questionable going into the game because he got hurt at the end of the Seahawks game. But who are you guys giving the advantage to in the run games between the Packers and the Rams?
Well, I did hear that Sean McVay said today that they do expect Aaron Donald to play. He said, barring any unforeseen circumstance, the Terminator, as he called him, will be ready to go. So that's a little bit scary, knowing the Terminator might be out there on the field. But, yeah, I mean, I think you probably got to give the edge to the Rams. defense in this situation. Like you said, the Packers have been pretty good at running the football, but I wouldn't consider them an elite running football team. And the Rams, certainly with their front seven, are very elite in this category.
Yeah, and it's going to be huge. I mean, I do expect Aaron Donald to play too, and he's such a force just by himself. But kind of, like we talked about last week, the other guys on that front line are certainly not any slouch, in their own right. Michael Brockers, Leonard Floyd, those guys are going to get pressure too, and I think that's going to be more of where this defensive front for the Rams are going to have to be more successful is getting to Aaron Rodgers. I think this game's going to be close, so they'll be able to stop the run for the most part, and I think it'll come down to whether or not they can actually get to Aaron Rodgers and make him make a few mistakes.
I think Aaron Jones will have a pretty good game. I mean, the offensive line has been looking pretty well without Bakhtiari. I know if we had Bakhtiari, I'd give it to the Packers run game because, I mean, Elton Jenkins been having a wonderful year. Corey Linsley at centers, I think, according to PFF, the number one center in the league, and I even think he made the All-Pro team, if I'm not mistaken. Ricky Wagner's had a nice comeback season, and we just got Lucas Patrick filling in. It's kind of he's the question mark, but he's been pretty solid since Bakhtiari's been out. But I just like the running backs too. Jones, Williams, and A.J. Dillon, the way he ran at the end of the season when Williams was out, gave me a lot of hope for the future of him. So I'm a big fan of that draft pick now. So I'd give it to the Packers here, the run game. I think they'll have a little more success on the ground than what people think. But we can move on and compare. This is the fun matchup between the Packers passing game against the Rams secondary. Who are you giving the advantage to in this one? Obviously, the big matchup, Davante Adams versus Jalen Ramsey. But besides that,
I think as an overall unit, I'm going to have to give it to the Rams. Not that obviously the Packers are still really solid. One of the best offenses, number one scoring offense in the league this year.
Remember, Aaron Rodgers
and that
is included in the Zinky.
Yes, I know, but I still want to. That's why I said overall as a general unit, I'm giving it to the Rams. But by no means do I think. I mean, it's going to be a great one-on-one matchup, Jalen Ramsey versus Davante Adams. That's what everybody's going to be watching for. But overall, I just think Davante Adams is so good that he's still going to get his. So I don't think that it's actually going to be a dominant performance. I think, just the connection and the timing that Aaron Rodgers and Davante have. I give those two the advantage over regardless of who they're going against. So even though it is Jalen Ramsey, I'll still give them the advantage. But as a general unit, I still think that the Rams secondary and defense is just a little bit stronger than the rest of the receiving core for the Packers.
Yeah, I mean, DK was able to make some plays on Jalen Ramsey, so I don't think he's unbeatable by any means. And obviously, at this point in his career, Davante Adams is a fair bit better receiver than DK Metcalf is. So I'm not super worried about Davante getting shut out. Like the way that he runs routes, he's going to be able to get open. But I don't know how I can pick a unit over the MVP of the season and Aaron Rodgers. So I've got to give the edge to Aaron Rodgers, but this is certainly out of this entire weekend, probably the best matchup to look at. I mean, top scoring offense versus the top scoring defense, MVP coming in, great secondary. I mean, this one's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think MVS is going to have to hang on to some balls if the Packers want to have a chance of winning this one. I know he's been a big dropper, but man, when he catches them, he normally goes for 80 yards. So it's he's going to have to come up big. But yeah, I'm gonna take the Packers in this one just because Aaron Rodgers is playing on a whole nother level right now. I'm just liking the way he's playing. 48 touchdowns and 5 interceptions this year. That's just insane. But we can flip the script now, and we'll talk about the Rams' offense versus the Packers' defense. And we'll kind of start with that running game for the Rams, which had quite a bit of success against the Seattle Seahawks. Cam Akers had a nice game. But looking at this, who are you guys going to give the advantage to in this game between the Rams' rushing attack versus the Packers' front seven?
I think this one is fairly close. I would probably give the edge to the Rams, especially with the way that Cam Akers has been running the ball lately. But the Packers' run defense really has stepped it up in the last few weeks. They started the year towards the bottom of the league, but I think they're up to like 13th if you look at the numbers in defending the run. So they're certainly not awful, as many thought that they were early in the season. But I mean, you're expecting this game to be pretty cold. Looks like it's going to be about 25 degrees, and I'm sure they're not going to want Jared Goff to go out there and throw. They're going to want him to throw as least as possible. So they're going to be riding Cam Akers, and if they're going to have a chance in this game, they got to rely on him, and I think he'll have a pretty good game.
Yeah, I think I agree with Boley in the fact that I'll give the slight edge to the Rams as well. Just because they're, this is what they've done most of the year. Their rushing game has been their strong suit all year. And I do think, though, that obviously they don't want, like Boley said, they don't want Goff throwing a ton, but I do think they're going to have to utilize Goff more than they may want to in order to keep their run game effective. I think after the performance that they put up last week and the fact that it's going to be cold and that Goff does have that thumb injury, I think the Packers are going to do most of what they can to try to, stack the box, get their fills, make sure they stop the run, because if they do that and limit it to, as little as possible, I think it could be a runaway for the Packers. But they're going to have to utilize a play action with Jared Goff if they're going to keep the run game effective in this one.
All right. Yeah, we can move on then to the Rams passing attack against the Packers secondary. Are we for sure Goff's going to be starting in this one? Is Wolford ruled out?
I don't really know, but I think at this point, even if Wolford is ready to play, I after going to Goff, I just don't see how you can go back. I mean, we didn't understand why he didn't play last week. So if he's there and he's able to play, he's only going to get more healthy as the week goes on. So I can only assume Goff is going to start. I don't know about Wolford. I think he had a concussion or concussion-like symptoms. So, I mean, obviously that can go any direction. It all depends on whether you pass the concussion test. But like I said, I think Goff's playing.
Yeah, I don't really see how Jared Goff wouldn't start this game. You got to think he's only going to be improved with his thumb another week, and the way that he finished the game, he did enough for them to win. There's no way they're not going to start him unless he has some kind of setback this week. But I think overall, I'm giving the edge to the Packers secondary. I mean, the way that Jair will probably be able to take, I don't even know who he's going to be on, if it's going to be Robert Woods or Cooper Kupp, but he's been able to pretty much take one of the receivers out of the game for the other team, and that's such a huge advantage. And I saw a stat that the few games that Jared Goff has played in cold weather, he has like a 37 passer rating. And then on the other side, Aaron Rodgers is like 108 with 10 touchdowns and 1 interception. So Jared Goff, historically, not great in these situations. You throw a bad thumb into the occasion, and I'm not feeling great about Jared Goff's prospects in this game.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I think Cooper Kupp left at the end of the game with a knee injury, so he, day-to-day right now. So that's a big keep an eye on that going forward, if he's going to play or not. But yeah, I think I'd give this one to the secondary. As long as the Packers are able to control the run game, I don't see this, this secondary's been almost elite all year. Savage has had a wonderful second half of the year. Amos is just solid. And then Jair Alexander is probably hands down the best cornerback in the league right now. Maybe that's high praise for him, but he's I'm gonna go ahead and say
he's definitely top 5 for sure. Yeah. I do think he's had a great year, and I'm not taking anything away from him, but there are some games that I think because I'm sure most people have seen that long list of each game based off what he did in each game. There were some games I don't even think they threw at him, which is due to how good he is. But I mean, it's just the numbers are a little skewed. They make him look really, really, really good. He is very good, no doubt. It always kind of just it makes me hesitate whenever I see that a guy just wasn't ever targeted. But again, that is an attribute to how good he is.
It's because they're taking a trip to Jair's Island.
That's the hard part about evaluating defensive backs, especially just a novice fan, is you look at Darrelle Revis, who was pretty widely considered the best corner in the league for 5 years straight, and he had very similar numbers. He had no interceptions because they just never threw at him. He locked the guy down so hard that they wouldn't even take a chance against him. So to me, that they're not targeting him, that really speaks volumes. If I'm a defensive back, I'd almost rather have that than have 10 interceptions, because that means they're taking a lot of chances against me. I'm probably getting burnt quite a bit too.
But all right. right? It's the moment. You guys have to catch up to me now. You're playing catch up. Taking the Rams or the Packers in this one. Zinky, you gave the Rams 3 of the edges in this, so it must be you're picking the Rams in this one, huh?
See, that's definitely not how that works out. I was actually thinking about that last week when we were breaking down positions. I didn't really pay attention to see if I gave more edges to the one team and then pick the other. But even if I did, in this case, it's going to be the same thing. The one edge that and I guess I didn't even give it to him, but the edge that all that matters is the Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers connection. And that's a big edge. So I'm going to go with them, as they're playing at home in the cold. There's going to be, 10,000 fans, I think, there. So they are going to have a home atmosphere, a little bit of a home atmosphere. And, Goff's not 100%. Even if he was, it would still be, I think, a tall task to go into Lambeau and win. So I'm going to pick the Packers. And if we're doing the scores again, I'd give it like a 27-13 advantage.
Yeah, I think the only way that the Rams win this football game is if their pass rush just absolutely dominates the Packers' offensive line, especially without Bakhtiari. It is possible, but the way that their other guys have stepped up, I just don't really see them imploding like they did against, say, the Buccaneers early in this season. I think they figured a lot of things out since then. So, especially with Goff, I can't see the Rams winning this football game. I think Vegas has this at like 7 points on the spread, so they're pretty confident that the Packers are going to win this. I think it may even be closer than that, but I'm going with the Packers.
What about first score?
I'll go 27-21.
I'll take the Packers as well. I just think that offense is on a whole new level. But I do think the Rams will get some points. So I'm going to take the scores. I'm going to go 38-28 Packers. We'll move on to the other. I guess we're going in order. So I think then the AFC matchup for that game is going to be the Bills versus the Ravens on Saturday night. So let's just start with the fun matchup right off the bat. We'll go with the Bills defense against the Ravens running attack. Bills front 7, Ravens running attack. Lamar Jackson found his groove. Who are you guys giving the advantage to in this one?
Yeah, this one's a pretty easy one. I don't know how you could pick anybody in the league against the Ravens running attack. I mean, they had 400 yards a couple of weeks ago just running the football. So, yeah, this one's it really needs no further explanation.
Yeah, I agree with Bully. It's all Lamar Jackson. Even if the running backs don't do their job, Lamar will. So.
All right, yeah, easy enough. We can move on then to the Ravens passing attack against the Bills secondary. Kind of interesting. This might be a little better matchup, but who are you going to give the advantage to here?
I think it's another easy one for me. I think it's the Bills for sure because kind of like I highlighted in the recap of last week's game, Lamar just isn't crisp with his passes. And I think, I think I even saw a quote from him today that says he doesn't want to go and play a snow game. So I think that's, an awful mindset to have already because you're going to Buffalo and it's going to be cold and snowy potentially. But it's just, I just don't see him improving enough as a passer here to be able to get past the likes of like Tre'Davious White, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer. Those guys are just all class athletes. So I'm going to go with the Bills.
Yeah, I'm going with the Bills as well. And not only does Lamar just not seem to be crisp, but who is he throwing the ball to? I mean, I know they have Mark Andrews and Marquise Brown has stepped up in the last few weeks, but beyond that, like, who do they have as a consistent target? If they have one need in the offseason, I think they have to address that wide receiver position. I know they picked up Des Bryant, and he's had a few touchdowns late in the year, but he's obviously not going to be a consistent target out there for you. So that's one big thing to look at as well is just Lamar. Yeah, he's taking a lot of criticism, but they got to get him some more help.
Yeah, that's for sure. But the Bills secondary played pretty well against the Colts last weekend, so yeah, I'd give the edge to the Bills secondary here as well. We can flip the script now. We'll talk about the Bills' rushing attack against this Ravens front seven, who had a monstrous game against Derrick Henry, holding him to under, I think, 50 yards rushing. So who are you guys going to give the edge to in this one?
See, this one's tough because when you're talking about the Bills' rushing attack, like it before it was like, oh, Devin Singletary's not consistent. You know, Zach Moss wasn't consistent. Now he's out. But it's not just that. It's Josh Allen. The damage that he's been doing with his legs has been such a weapon for that Bills team. And man, but then we see last week, like you said, how what the Ravens did to Derrick Henry. Like this is a really good matchup. I think ultimately I'm gonna go with the Bills running attack though, just because that added weapon in Josh Allen. I just think that is so huge. It keeps that defense honest.
I'll be honest, I'm a little surprised by that. I thought Boley was about to come in and say easy answer, Ravens rushing defense by far. Yes, the element of running by Josh Allen is, a threat, and that keeps plays alive for sure. And that's going to be the problem for the Ravens is getting to him, bringing him down. But I mean, if you look at last week, outside of Josh Allen, who had 54 yards rushing, Devin Singletary 3 carries for 21, and Zach Moss 7 for 21. Just haven't ever been a great running team all year, and obviously they just stopped Derrick Henry for 40 yards for the whole game. So I think it's clear cut that it's the Ravens.
Yep, for sure. We can move on now to the Bills' passing attack against the Ravens secondary. See if Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley have success against Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey. Who you guys giving the advantage to in this one?
Now, this one I think is certainly a very fun matchup because they do have, the pedigree. I think Marcus Peters hasn't gotten a fair shake with some of the other corners in the NFL. He is definitely one of the top ones in the league for sure. And Marlon Humphrey has played just as well on the other side. So those guys are great. But I do think I'm going to have to give the edge to the Bills. Stephon Diggs is, leader in the NFL for receiving yards this year. He's been an absolute animal this year for the Bills. That just his addition has made their offense go from good to great. And the fact that Josh Allen's a part of it, his ability to sling the ball around the field pretty accurately for the whole year. I just got to give it to the Bills offense.
Yeah, I mean, this one's super close, but like you said, the way that Stephon Diggs has been playing and Josh Allen, top 3 MVP candidate, throwing the football as well as running it, I got to go with the Bills. But again, I think it's super close, and this is going to be a super competitive football game.
All right, moment of truth. Who are you picking in this one?
Well, I picked them in the beginning of the year for our NFL preview, but I'm going to have to go with the Bills here. The Ravens, played great on defense last week, and they still only won by 7. If the Bills can at least try to contain as much as they can what Lamar can do with his feet, I think that they'll be able to force enough misfits with him in the passing game, and their offense is just too good. And I'm not sure if the Ravens are equipped to handle a back and forth slugfest. So I'm going with the Bills, and I'll say like maybe 35-28.
Think I'm gonna do it, boys. Think I'm gonna do it.
He's going with them. Do it.
I'm taking the Ravens in this one. I just feel like I don't know. I think the Bills are due for a slip up here. I think the Colts did a pretty good job of slowing down that Bills offense last week for the most part, and I feel like the Ravens are going to have just as much of a chance. And the way that the Ravens have been running the football on offense, I think if they can control that clock and stay in this game until the fourth quarter, I don't know. I just have a feeling the Ravens are going to sneak out with this one.
What do you think the score is going to be?
Let's go
7-6. Got it.
Let's go 24-20.
Ooh, I like that.
Bully, I'm going to do it too. I like the Ravens. I was gonna pick them. I just think Lamar Jackson's in a new groove now. You can tell they're. Yeah, I think he was trying to focus on being a pocket passer earlier in the year, and that's kind of where his struggles came into play. And now that I think he's, it seems like a big stress is off his shoulders. Now he's gone back to the Lamar Jackson of last year, where, like on his 50-yard touchdown run, I think that's the kind of plays we're used to him making, where he drops back, doesn't find anybody open, but finds a huge lane and takes it 50 yards. So I think he'll have more success running on the ground again. So I'm going to go with the Ravens in this one. I'm going to go 27 to 24. And then we will move on to the Kansas City Chiefs and the Cleveland Browns are playing on Sunday afternoon. We will start up front, the Chiefs rushing attack against the Cleveland Browns front seven. Who are you going to give the advantage to in this one?
I'll probably give the edge to the Browns front seven. I mean, to be honest, I don't really think any of these units are necessarily great. That's not the focal point of either of these football teams. But overall, I don't think the Chiefs have really shown a consistent ability all season to run the football. They have glimpses here and there where they'll commit to it. But when you have Patrick Mahomes, it's hard to blame them for their offensive style. And I think they're going to focus on that in this one.
Yeah, I'll agree. I think the Browns have, especially the linebackers have been playing pretty well. Probably better in the passing game than they have in the running game, but they just have a better foundation, as a defense than the Chiefs do running the ball, like Bully said. And I don't know if Clyde Edwards-Helaire is playing. He probably is. I'm not sure. I know he got injured. I think week 16. So could still be getting, back to full health. I think he'll probably suit up and play. But, even when he was at full strength, they still didn't run the ball. So even, a half, 75%, Clyde Edwards-Helaire just can't take him.
Yeah, like Bully said, I don't really think this is either of the team's strengths, but I would just have to give it to probably the Browns front seven. I like their D-line, how they can get after the quarterback. Myles Garrett's been playing pretty well as of late. So I'd probably give a slight edge to the Browns. But now this is probably the fun one. We'll go with the Chiefs passing attack against the Browns secondary. So, Bully, tell me why the Browns are going to shut down Patrick Mahomes in this game.
I wish I could tell you that, but I can't even come up with any even remotely logical reasoning for that statement. So, yeah, this one's pretty clear. Taking the Chiefs.
Yeah, it's the Chiefs, but the only way, and I mean the Chiefs had maybe struggled a little bit down the stretch. I mean they beat the Falcons 16-14, and that was largely due to the fact that they were able to pressure Mahomes. And fortunately for the Browns, that is one of their strengths. They're probably the strength of their defense is their pass rush. So if they can get home, they can get to Mahomes, force him to maybe throw the ball a little faster, and he wants to. They have a chance to slow him down, but again, like Bully said, no way. It's all Chiefs.
Yeah, pretty obvious here. But now we'll flip the script, and we will talk about the Cleveland's running attack against the Chiefs' running defense. Kind of obvious, I think, here who we're going to give it to, but I'll pass it over to you guys. You're going to give the advantage to in this one.
Well, like you said, it is pretty obvious. The Cleveland Browns running backs are the bread and butter of their offense. If they go, the Browns go, and they're going to have to be very involved in this one to keep it close, keep it on the ground, eat up some clock, keep Mahomes off the field, and that's going to have to rely on Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. I was going to say just blank for a second, but yeah, I mean last week they had 3 touchdowns combined and like 140, 50 yards rushing. So just a really, really solid group.
Yeah, and last week, the way they come out of the gates with Kareem Hunt, you're like, all right, it's going to be one of those games where Hunt gets all the points. And then, no, boom, out of nowhere, Nick Chubb just takes a screen pass like 50 yards for a touchdown. And you're like, it doesn't matter who they go to. They're both just so goddamn good.
Yep. Yeah, I would give it to the running game. They've just been dominant all year. And they're third in the NFL in rushing yards per game, so I think they'll take advantage of that Chiefs front seven. But we'll move on now to the Browns passing attack against the Chiefs secondary. Interesting matchup here, but who are you going to give the advantage to?
Yeah, this one's close. I mean, Baker Mayfield, you can tell he certainly has matured this season, and he's playing some really good football right now. On the other side of the ball, the Chiefs kind of have that like bend but don't break defense, I feel like. I mean, I don't think they necessarily do anything all that great, but they step up and make plays and force turnovers when they really need to. So I think just because of that overall, I am going to give the edge to the Chiefs secondary, but it wouldn't shock me at all if Baker came out and played really well in this game.
Yeah, Bully kind of said what I was thinking. The Chiefs secondary is very opportunistic. They do, like he said, they make plays when they need to. They aren't great at forcing turnovers, but they get the turnovers when they need them. So they have a very good scheme defense as a collective unit. But you can only be opportunistic though if a quarterback is making mistakes and not making a great throw or great read. So I actually kind of give the edge to the Browns. I think it's very close and almost even. But just because of the way Baker has played down the stretch this year, I think he struggled a little in the beginning of the year, but he's taking care of the football very well. So as long as he continues to do that, their receivers have shown to step up and play very well in the absence of Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah, and it's hard because sometimes you get these teams that have such elite offenses. It's really hard to gauge their defense because when you're up by 14 points early in a game like they are so often, like it's just inherent that your defense is going to play a little bit softer and you're going to give up a ton of yards. So a lot of times with these teams, like these defenses might be really good. They're never needed. Like they're never needed to be put in that spot where they have to step up and win a football game for you.
Yeah. Well, now it's the moment of truth. Who are we taking in this one, boys?
I got to go with the Chiefs. They're just so good on offense. I mean, they're number one offense, in terms of the passing attack. Number one offense, I think, in total yards this year. They just do things so well. They can do things in so many different ways. Mahomes can throw it deep, or they'll just throw a dump pass to Tyreek Hill, and he takes it the rest of the way. They're just so good in the Browns. Again, kind of, like Bully mentioned here, they were probably playing a little bit of prevent, for most of it since they were up by 28 points at one point, but they still did give up 500 passing yards to Big Ben. So just imagine what Patrick Mahomes can do. So I'm gonna give the edge to the Chiefs, 38-24.
Yeah, I do worry a little bit about the Chiefs coming out flat in this game. I mean, a lot of their starters have had 2 weeks off now. That always scares me a little bit. And honestly, at the end of the season, like it almost seemed like, I don't know if they were just bored or what, but they're almost getting just like a little too cute. Like they would get in the red zone and they'd be just trying these ridiculous like trick plays. Like let's see what crazy way we can score a touchdown now, and like they don't need to play like that. So hopefully they see some of that on film in these 2 weeks that they've had off to try to correct that stuff. But yeah, like I said, I do think they might come out a little bit flat. But ultimately, like in the second half, we've seen it for the past 2 seasons. Like how many points does Patrick Mahomes have to be behind where you still don't think he's going to come back and win the football game? Like at this point, what is it, like 28? I don't know. So I just can't pick against them right now. So I am going to take the Chiefs, but I think this will be fairly competitive until the fourth quarter. I'll go, let's go 34-24.
Oh, boys, somebody's got to do it, and it shouldn't surprise anybody that it's going to be me. Taking the Browns.
All right, we're catching up. We're catching up this week.
I have a game lead, so might as well take the risk here. Even though I picked the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl at the beginning of the season, I think the Browns have the formula in order to take down the Kansas City Chiefs. That rushing attack with Chubb and Hunt, I mean, it's pretty good if they can keep Mahomes off the field. That's the key to success. And Denzel Ward, I think, is back, and that's a huge help in that Cleveland secondary. Just figuring out how they're going to shut down Travis Kelce is going to be the big question, but I think they'll find some ways, and I think the Browns are going to shock the world and win this one. And I'll have them winning 27-24.
Wow, you think the Chiefs are only going to score 24 points? That's really the bold take there.
Little rest versus rust. You never know. They're come out a little rusty. But we'll move on to, in my opinion, the game of the week, the one I'm more excited for. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going up against the New Orleans Saints on Sunday, afternoonish night, 5:40 kickoff time. We'll start with the Tampa Bay rushing attack against the New Orleans Saints front seven. So going away, who are you guys going to give the advantage to in this one?
I'm gonna go with the Saints on this one. The overall this year the Buccaneers are 28th, I think, in rushing, and that's just because I don't even think they knew who they wanted to play each week. Leonard Fournette's a solid back, obviously. Top 10 pick in the NFL draft. Ronald Jones has played well in spurts, so they just don't even know who to play. And then I just kind of maybe if somebody doesn't do well, they kind of abandon it. And I don't blame them when you've got all the weapons that they have, through the air, receiving, quarterback wise. So, just based on scheme too, I'm going to give the edge to the Saints.
Yeah, pretty easy one for me. You're going with the Saints. Tampa Bay. I mean, I kind of look at them like we looked at Pittsburgh all season long. Like they just had zero identity in running the football, and it just seemed like they didn't even really try to. And they're okay with that because they have such an elite passing attack, and they know who they are, and they're just gonna play to their strengths. But because of that, this one is clearly the Saints have the edge in this advantage.
Yeah, I like the way Leonard Fournette ran the ball against the football team on Saturday. I think he had 93 yards on 19 carries in Ronald Jones' absences, so he's making himself known, and that's looking like a good pickup for them earlier this year. But yeah, we can move on now to the Bucks secondary, or Bucks receiving against the Saints secondary. This is probably the matchup everybody's most excited for, but who are you giving the advantage to in this one?
There's just too many weapons on that Tampa Bay side to not give them the edge here. I mean, we could sit here and name them all: Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, now Scotty Miller, Rob Gronkowski, Cameron Brate, Tom Brady. Oh yeah, by the way, their quarterback has 6 Super Bowls. Guy's 43, and he looks more athletic than he's ever looked in his entire career, which I just boggles my mind. The way he's moving around in the pocket, making plays, it's unbelievable. And yeah, the Saints have a really good secondary, and that's what sucks. I mean, they're no slouch here, but I just think they're going to have a hard time slowing down this passing attack for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, 100% agree with Boley. The only way that the passing attack can be slowed down is if they get pressure to Tom Brady, but that's a little easier said than done, I think, just based on the way Tom's is smart and able to see the defense coming in a blitz before they, show it. So, really just great at breaking it down at the line. And I think that is also a huge reason why I give the edge to the Bucks.
All right, we can move on then and do the New Orleans Saints rushing attack against this Tampa Bay front seven. Alvin Kamara gets another week healthier. And, that Tampa Bay defense shut down the run pretty good against the football team, so you give them the advantage to in this one.
This one is definitely close. I think I lean towards the Bucks, actually. Alvin Kamara obviously is a very good running back. Nobody's questioning that. Latavius Murray is a fine backup as well. But the issue is that Kamara isn't. He is a very good runner. He can run between the tackles. He can run outside. But I just think that he's most effective when he's out in open space, and doing that is more receiving. So I think just on that kind of alone, I give the Bucks front seven a little bit more of an edge. They got great guys that can, get to the quarterback, get into the backfield, push the offensive line back to kind of stuff runs before they start. So I'll give a slight edge to the Bucks.
Yeah, the Bucks have given up 80 yards rushing per game, which has got to be. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but that's got to be one of the best in the league, and they showed it last week. And like you said, kind of the strength of Alvin Kamara isn't necessarily even running the football; it's just everything he does in addition in the passing game. And overall, if you're talking strictly running the football, I will give the edge to Tampa Bay as well.
agree with you guys there. And now another fun matchup is we got this Saints passing attack against the Tampa Bay secondary. Who are you guys giving the advantage to in this one?
Yeah, kind of for reasons that I just mentioned, just the Alvin Kamara factor out of the backfield. Now we got Michael Thomas back. He's making plays last week. I got to give the edge to the Saints. The one thing that does always worry about me this year with the Saints is Drew Brees. Is he going to be able to push the ball downfield? But I think they've got a pretty good scheme where he doesn't really necessarily need to. I mean, I think if they find themselves in a shootout type of game where the Bucks come out early and they're throwing a bunch and they take a big lead, I do worry about the Saints just because I don't think that Breeze is going to be able to push the ball downfield. But if they can play their game and keep this one close early, I do give the advantage here to the Saints passing game.
Yeah, I give it to him as well. Like Bully said, having Michael Thomas back is a huge boost, but kind of an emergence last week from Deontay Harris, a guy that didn't really do a whole lot during the regular season, and he showed out last week against a good Bears defense. So, if they can get his production, they still have, Jared Cook, they still have Emmanuel Sanders. They have guys that are still very solid players that, they can still get production from. So just based on the variety of weapons that they have, I also have to give it to the Saints.
Yep. Now it's time for the moment of truth, though. Who are you picking in this game?
Because this is tough, and I think, obviously it even extra tough considering it's a divisional opponent. It's hard to beat a team 3 times, and in the fashion that the Saints did, they pretty much blew the doors off of the Bucks both times they played this year. And I just can't imagine that it's going to be that way. It's certainly going to be a close game, but I got to go with the Bucks. I think they are clicking. I think they found their stride. They know what they're doing now on offense. I think they were struggling a little bit in the beginning of the year. They also didn't have Antonio Brown then. So I just think that we're still working out the kinks of having a new quarterback, Tom working out his new team, and with his new receivers. But they've gotten a new rapport now at this time of the year that it's tough. And Brady in the playoffs is always scary. So I'm going to go with the Bucks, and I'm going to say it's going to be 28-24.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think I'm going to go with Tampa Bay as well in this one. I think this is probably going to be the game of the week, and it's pretty awesome that we got Brady versus Breeze at this point in their careers. Probably the last time we may see this. I mean, who knows about Drew Brees? A lot of rumors about him retiring after the season. I know he's got a deal lined up with NBC to hop in the booth whenever he wants it. So we'll see about that. But I mean, we talked about the matchups. It's kind of 50-50, a couple for each side. And ultimately, if I'm looking at the quarterbacks, at this point, I just think I trust Tom Brady with his weapons a little bit more than I do Drew Brees. So I think ultimately, if it does turn into a shootout, which I don't know, I'm kind of expecting that this could, I got to go with Tampa Bay. I'll go 35-34. How about that?
Whoa.
I was thinking I was gonna go 28-27, but I was like, ooh, at one point that seems tough.
This is a tough one. I want the Saints to win, but like you said, it's hard to pick against Tom Brady in the playoffs, especially the way he's playing as of now. So I think I'm gonna go Tampa Bay as well. I'm gonna go 35-31. But
I like it.
That should be a fun one to watch for sure. But that's all we got for this week. Until next time, we'll see you then.
Peace. Bye.